very much to our keynote speaker. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, or if you just made it down here, this is the BRF Gabfest 2018 with the theme, The Youth in Nigeria, Mapping the Future. There would be 2 sessions today, and we're about to kick off the first session. The moderator for the first session is an ace broadcaster with over 10 years experience in broadcasting, and also a co-host of Sunrise Daily on Channels Television. Maokbe Ogun, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for Maokbe Ogun. Okay, another panelist for this session is Kayode Adegbola. Kayode Adegbola is a political aspirant, also the CEO and founder, Legacy Serviced Offices, and is currently director at Vale Management Limited. A round of applause for Kayode Adegbola, please. Another panelist that we have today is Aisha Osori. Aisha Osori is a lawyer, author, and has also published a series of children's textbooks on social studies. She is also a director on the board of the Nigerian Women Trust Fund. A round of applause for Aisha Osori. Up next is Mr. Asukwo Ekpeyong, the Commissioner for Finance, Cross River State. A round of applause for Asukwo Ekpeyong. And lastly, on this panel is Obiora Obiabomo, Special Assistant to the Governor on Economic Planning and Budget, Anambra State. A round of applause for Mr. Obiora, please. Thank you. So we're starting off with this session with the theme, Getting the Youth Involved. And once again, our moderator is Maokbe Ogun.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you most kindly, Bisola. Thank you. Happy birthday, Honorable Minister. It gives me very great pleasure to be here, especially when we're talking about young people and the future. What a template, what a background. I mean, you all listen to that speech, and it definitely does set the background for us to have this discussion. Young people in politics, getting the youth involved. I want to believe it's politics you're talking about, because I have mostly political aspirants, people who belong to political parties, a woman, thank God. Demographic was remembered here. So I'm going to start by asking, Mrs. Awoshika said something. She said, we have to equip the next generation. Oftentimes, we find that happens in the economy. I mean, we find a lot of people, there's a lot of talk around mentorship these days, but not very strongly in politics. Only recently, I think it was last week, and I hope that the All Progressives Congress would not mind that we talk about their Congress. It held last week. I do not know how many young people were involved. I do not know how many women got positions. But I do know that somebody was not very happy about how things went down. Interestingly, she's sitting on this panel, and she's also written a book. This book, Love Does Not Win Elections. I have read it, and I'll advise anyone who's attempting to enter politics to read it. I've also interviewed Aisha on the book. So I'll ask you, let me start with you, Aisha. Do you think that we're actually trying to get young people involved? Only recently, the president signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law. Is now an act. The age for getting involved in politics has now been reduced. But from all that you have seen so far, from your experience, are we still mouthing it, or are we beginning to take steps to equip and get young people involved in politics and governance?
Thank you, Mokwe. How many hours do I have? Well, I'd like to start with saying good afternoon to everybody first and wishing Mr. Fashola a happy birthday. Are we serious? Are we just still making platitudes? I would say it's a mix. I think the young people are serious, and I'm not here representing youth because I'm well over 40. So I'm an aberration here. So I'm an imposter. I'm only speaking as a failed politician, but I'd say my answer is balanced. I think young people are ready. I think they're trying. They're working their way into the spaces that they're supposed to be in through politics, through private sector. But the not too young to run act now, as laudable as it is, for me, the key thing I took away from that was that Nigerians can persevere. We can run a good advocacy campaign. We can come together and we can make things happen. But the truth is, it really ends there. My limited knowledge of the political sector is that it's not age that keeps people out of politics in the first place. It is just the nature of our politics. And just very briefly, I'd like to talk about one or two, what I call tales by moonlight that we hear about politics in Nigeria. So usually they'll tell young people, go and start at the grassroots. Go and start in the local government, which is not bad advice. But how many local governments actually function? I did a random check this morning. At least 12 states out of 36 have caretaker committees, which means there's been no elections. So if you're not appointed by a governor, how are you competing for space there? The second is at least 19 out of the other 36, after you take out 12, so in total 31, the ruling party holds 100% of the seats, of the local government chair seats, of the councillor seats. So how is that competitive? When you tell young people to go to the local government, what are you actually saying? You're not saying anything. So yes, I think largely from the old guard, from the politicians, it's merely platitudes. They're not ready to really do what it takes to make Nigeria more democratic and to make it easier or more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not easier, but an open competition for young people to participate in. So the game is rigged.
Well, Kayode, I hope that doesn't discourage you, Kayode, because he's a political aspirant. He's running for the House of Assembly in Ogun State, so he tells me. Kayode, can you tell us why you think, we see all the odds oftentimes stacked against young people. Why do you think you'll be successful in Ogun State?
Thank you, Maupe. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Why do I think I'll be successful? I have personally gotten experience in practicing law. I have experience in running a business. I also have public sector experience in working for the government. But beyond that,